This is a home built before 1940, and we're looking at the simple maintenance operation of restringing sash cord. These windows are equipped with interlocking metal weather strip, and so we'll have to deal with that. This operation begins with cutting away parting bead, and that's what we're going to do next. We're breaking the paint seal. It was made to be serviced by the handyman homeowner, and so you'll find that it's relatively simple. This tool I'm using is called a window bar, or some call it a wonder bar. It makes it possible to remove this element without damage. The nails that are sticking through it can be removed from the back side without causing damage to the trim piece by just pulling them through. Alright, this interlocking metal is typical. The first patents on this were 1890, so you may find them in original window units from 1900 and on here in south central Kentucky. Opening the sash will reveal the other location, sometimes here, but usually down here near the bottom. The wonder bar is cut to a fine edge, and so we get in behind the weather strip and pry it without damaging it, so that it can be removed. Once it's freed up, then the strip will come loose and allows us to remove it. So, let's take our clippers. We're going to snip the old cord, and we'll tie a little slip knot in that so it doesn't just drop. Now the sash is free and can be gently pulled out of the opening. You'll see here this window unit is now covered by a storm window. This is an Allied storm window which has an interior removable panel that can be changed out for a screen. And the idea is that we'll get this lower sash operating so that when it lifts up, we won't have to take this out again. The panel will just simply, there'll be room enough for the panel just to come out and be replaced by the screen unit when that time of year comes when the owner wants that. The meeting rails, which on the upper sash is the lower rail and on the lower sash is the upper rail. These are both meeting rails. They are beveled and wider than the other parts of the sash, and you can see in old interlocking metal weather strip the upper sash is generally equipped with a hook that faces upward. The problem with this configuration is not that it's not durable. Certainly the Department of Energy recognizes it as the most durable of all forms of weather strip. But that upward face causes for the accumulation of debris within that small channel in the hook. So when it fills up, it actually no longer will close tight. Look at all this paint that's been built up in there. So before we're done, we're going to clean out that hook, and I'll bet that that will result in the sash being able to close more completely. You'll see this has the original dust blocks which is in this case a piece of wood mounted directly to the parting bead, which has a small piece of metal that is spring metal that goes over and is nailed off down here. This actually works as a dust block in double hung operation sash. So this upper sash is designed to come down. Of course, it's probably painted shut. And when the lower sash when they align up, the dust block closes that little gap in between, and it just does a great job. On the bottom rail of the lower sash, you see we also have interlocking metal down there. This system has largely been replaced by silicone bulb seals, but this metal zinc track actually engages a saw kerf that's made here on the bottom of the lower sash. Let's take a look at that. And right there, again, we have a sleeved, which we will clean that out. Simple maintenance. And you see here, over the years, there's just been a bit of paint accumulation. This is the lowest part of the sash, and so we're going to have our painters over the years painting this and not being probably too careful to lift up the sash so that it doesn't bond with the sill, and of course that is one of the major problems with this type. Okay, now on to the weight pockets. Right here is the weight pocket hatch, which has been fastened back with a nail. We got lucky. These weight pocket hatches do not require the removal of the parting bead, and so, well, we'll just pay a little attention to that while we're here by cleaning it up. That'll enable that bottom sash to slide a little smoother as it goes up and down. Behind this hatch, as we can see here, is the weight cavity. And there is one of the two weights. It's still hung. And balancing this sash, the upper sash, it's toward the front of the pocket. The other pulley is designated to the lower sash, and you'd find the weight to the rear. That pulley can't be seen right now because we have it tied up, and so it's hanging up and above there. The bottom of the weight pocket has a small dado in it. They were originally built, and that's where the weight pocket hatch set down in to give it rigidity. So in this case, we've cleaned this weight pocket hatch out. I mean the dado at the bottom of the pocket. We've cleaned it out so that the hatch can go on there properly, and now it won't flutter around in there so much. Okay, John, I need you to go into the weight pocket with your hand.
Alright.
And just see if you can feel the weight. I'm going to drop in on you. In most residential sash, we use 1/4 inch sash cord, which is commonly available through most good hardware stores. This has a 28-pound load limit, which means that with two pieces, one on either side, we're able to support sash that weigh 56 pounds, which is a pretty heavy sash. Certainly most of them in this old Victorian house are less than 56 pounds. So, well, I'm not going to let it drop, I'm just going to let it come down and see if you can feel the bottom of it. You hear it? Can you get it? Okay. So lift upward. Okay. Now just let it down softly. I don't want to sever it. Okay. That should come. Go ahead. Now pull it out of the pocket. Good. Very good. Okay. There's a new end. These are cast and very nicely.
I see. What I maybe is some numbers. 3.
How about 10? Should be about a 10 pounder.
There's 1, 2, 3.
And that would be a Bowline. Okay. Okay, John, set that back in the pocket. There's a divider in there. You see that strip of wood? There you go. There you go.
No.
So this is the meeting rail for the lower sash held upside down, where we can look in here and see where that hook on the upper sash engages. There's the slot that's created, but look at that. So we need to make sure that's all cleaned out. We're ready to install our lower sash with our new cord. Glazing faces out. And the first thing is to fasten the sash cord. We're going to use what we have found are dipped, just like 16-penny framing nails are, dipped little, and they have no ring shank on them. They're smooth shank nails, which because of that dipping will grip that white pine or whatever the sash here are made of real nicely. They're about 1.5 inches long. And they will help to secure that knot that we're going to tie right here. There's a slip knot, so it's interesting, this little hole in the side of the sash, which we can better see here on this end. Take a look in there. You see the little mortise right there, which is where the sash cord slips in. That's what we're aiming for. And typically, that lines up somewhere near the top of the weight pocket hatch. So when we let the weight settle to the bottom of the weight pocket, and we grip the cord and pull it down so that the knot is about where the top of that weight cover is, that shows that we have enough cord in there. So that's where our knot goes, and we have to be a little careful with that. We're going to tie what's called a figure 8 knot. Look it up online if you're not sure how to tie that. But that is a Boy Scout knot. Actually, earlier than that, it was used to keep rope from flying through pulleys. And you can see we have a little play in that because the sash is, the weight is not hanging in the pocket. Well, in part that's due because of the short height of this window, but we should be all right. So now we're going to take that knot, we'll fit it in the mortise. Can't show you this because my assistant can't get up here and actually jump on my back. This is impossible to see, but I'll be able to show you on the other side, I think. Okay, I need this. And there it is. And now, clip the excess cord. Now, we've got a little paint on the metal interlocking weather strip. Doesn't look like much, does it? But let me tell you, when we say smooth operation, that depends sometimes on the fact that all the metal is clean. Now, this strip is really kind of chewed up, so we're going to see where we have left to nail there, but we fit the strip on our freshly waxed sleeve, It's in that saw curve. Most of you won't have sleeves. But now we'll go to the other side and do that one. Knot in the opening. And then we're going to drive just to make sure get the right position on this. Well, in that side. Oh, good. Very nice. Okay, now let's fit the metal in there. Oh. And just drive that nail right through, right through the knot. It helps be man enough to push the nail into the knot. And then, gee, we're in tight quarters here in this little well. And that's what we've got here. We got like a chair seat arrangement here. This is not one for the novice, but that ought to do that. And fit the strip in there. And now you're wondering, how the heck? He's had so much trouble getting that in and out before. How's he going to get it in there now? Well, I'll show you. Because when you have your trusty putty knife with you, you can usually get away with a whole lot of stuff you can't otherwise. Oh, there it is. There it is. Now it went. Now we have a dirty sash cord, but we can clean that up with Clorox. So there it is. In its rough form. Now we just have to get it tamed down and in place. So there it is. And get it down in there. And we take our Wonder Bar, make sure that that metal is seated. And when it is, then we take some copper coated nails, one here at the top. I've seen it done just with one, but it really should have another at the bottom. Okay. Let's do the other side. So now we're preparing our interior stop to go back on. We're cleaning off the little bit of excess paint that we need to, so that it makes a good fit. And when we mount our stop, we want it to be not tight against the sash in its travel. You see, back in colonial times, the stop was one of the items that prevented air infiltration, and so you'll find that, you know, there might be paste wax on the back of the stop because it slid, the sash slid up against it, but not when interlocking metal came into being. It allowed the sash to be free of the stop, so there's a gap, typically 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to nail that with 18 gauge brads, but it can be done with hand-driven nails. You don't have a brad nailer, but just make sure there's a nice space between the stop and the sash. We don't want that stop interfering with the travel at all. there again, 1/8 of an inch. That's what we're shooting for. We don't want the stop to be up tight against our sash. Now, I haven't nailed the upper reaches of the stop because I wanted to test it. So let's do that. We see that the stop has been nailed close on this side. So I think we'll just move it out there a little bit. If we can. That's moving against the meeting rail. So let's just try this. See if we can move it a little bit. Maybe there. Yeah, there we go. So we got a little movement out of it. Now our sash goes the whole way up. So we'll be able to get our panel out and insert our screen panel in as weather requires. So we can nail off the rest of our stop. How about 4 or maybe 5 nails in the stop? All that's required. And there you have it. And so your sash should be operating so that they're free. If the weights are proper size, they've been balanced to the weight of the sash, and the sash should travel relatively freely up and down, even if it's not sent through a whole stripping process. This sash we just did this minimal maintenance on, and that'll be fun. So there you have it.